This is Berachos Daf Daled and Yerushalmi Daf Yomi. In order to get a flying start, so to speak, we have to go back to Daf Gimel and base, and it was 5 lines at the bottom. Rabbi Chizkiah lo amar kein el kol herafayim verafayim shebechatzi mil the Rabbi Nechem esafeku. So yesterday they're going to Rabbi Chizkiah, each and every herafayim, each and every blink of the eye, with the half meal, the amount of time it takes to cook a half meal from Shkia till 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 definite seis kochavim is the suffix that perhaps that's the moment at which the changes from one day to the next day. I'm Rabbi Monica. She's coming to the Chizkiah. So I said, I have a question. I had a question which I asked in front of the Chizkiah. Kartanina Tamon. That we learned over there. Achas b'yom, achas ben hashmoshes. Achas ben hashmoshes, achas l'machar. So a zav has to see either three rios, separate rios, or three rios over one riyah. Let's put it this way: one riyah can be divided into 2 days, but to two by it being on 2 days. So if going from one day into the next day, it's 2 riyos, and that's mitzdarif with a third riyah either before or after to make the person a zav gadol who has to not just tamei for 7 days, like a zav who had 2 riyos, but is tamei for 7 days and has to bring a korban. So what happens if he saw one ben hashmashos riyah? So here it says here that if you if you know for sure that part of that riyah of ben hashmashos was yesterday, part of it was the next day, vare lutum lekurban, he definitely is tummy, and it definitely is chayav korban. Means safek, he's not sure because ben hashmashos you're not sure. Shemitzas riyah mayom mitzas lemachar. Some perhaps some it's to tomorrow, perhaps some it's today. He doesn't know for sure. Vare lutuma. Since he has another riyah, before or after this one and this riyah, so he's definitely tummy. But safek the korban. He is a safek for a korban. So far we haven't had the question yet. We're still saying the question. Rechib Yosef, boy, come here, Rabbi Yochanan. Rechib Yosef asked in front of Rabbi Yochanan, and this all again relates back to the question. Who's the one who says that a riyah can be divided into 2? So the Gilyon Ephraim and the Mashbiach put the words between after Mantan Nechles L'Shnayim, Mantan Tanya Riyah Nechles L'Shnayim, the question mark there, and then Omar Lei. So that Yochanan answered Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi is the one who has this brisa and tells us that the Ben Hashmoshes can be divided in 2. You can have, because Rabbi Yossi gives a definite time for Ben Hashmoshes. Rabbi Yossi says that it's Keharav Ayin, and their Keharav Ayin is after that the Chatzi meal, because we assumed, and therefore before that Herafayin, it's going to be the day before, and after the Herafayin, it's going to be the day after. Oh, so if that's the case, Omar law. Now comes the question which Rabbi Mona asked in front of Rabbi Chizkiah. He said, "Kashtal daitcha. This is now difficult on you. The atamar kol herf ayin v'herfayin shebachatzi mil Rabbi Nechem esafiku." You said each and every moment within the Chatzi meal is a suffix. So therefore, this price can go also in Rabbi Nechemia. Why not? There's a moment in Ben Hashmoshes with beforehand it's day and afterwards it's night. So why is Dafka Kohen Rabbi? Why Rabbi Yochanan say Dafka Kohen Rabbi Yossi? Why can't it be Kohen Nechemia according to your interpretation that says that Kol Heraf verifying is suffix? Again. Kasha Daitka, Data Marco Herifying Verifying Shabchatzimil and Mechem Safiku. Lama. So why would it be specifically according to Rabbi Yossi? So Rabbi Chizkiah responded, Amarle, Kashita. That's a kasha. You really think that your kasha is a good kasha? Kshiyav Yovi Amar Zeh Ben Hashmashas. Yo will come and tell us when that Ben Hashmashas is, Man Polik, who's going to argue? In other words, you're right that if we knew when that moment was, so it would be identical to Rabbi Yossi. But we don't know when that moment is. Since you don't know what moment it is, so de facto, it comes out that you cannot have a re'iyah during Ben Hashmashos, which is going to be definitely 2 days, the day before and the after, unless, according to Rabbi Nechemia, unless it expands throughout the entire half meal time, because we don't know when that moment is. Sunday Elio might come and tell us that, and then it will be identical to Rabbi Yossi's shita that there's a herifying which is specific. She says Rabbi Yossi has a herifying specifically after half meal. Rabbi Yechemia has a specific half herifying, and then we would have a very short span of time, which would already be 2 days. But since we don't have that clarity, so therefore the brisa is much more logical. According makes works much better according to Rabbi Yossi. It does not work out well according to Rabbi Nechemia. The Gemara actually takes out the words man polig, but you can read without it. Like she said, but the way we read it, it's man polig. Who would argue? In other words, everybody agreed. But this way, it's very hard to set this brisa like Rabbi Nechemia, and it's much easier to set it up like Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Chanina Chavron the Rabbanan boy. Now Rabbi Chanina Chavron the Rabbanan, he's called throughout by the Yerushalmi Chavron the Rabbanan because he didn't have real smicha. Rabbi Chanina came up from Bavel, and he had the smicha which they gave in Bavel, which is the Yoreh, whatever the Yodin, but not the smicha of with the authentic smicha which the Amoraim of Eretz Yisrael had. So therefore, they gave him a special honorific to denote that even though he didn't have the real smicha, he was still one of us, so to speak. So boy, yes, Kamadat Amar Ba'arvis, Niru Shlosh Chavim. You said in the evening, even when you see 3 stars, Afal Pisha Chama Nisuna B'Emtzarekia, even though the sun is in the middle of the sky, Lailahu, it's already nighttime. Umar Ap B'Shachris Kain. Let's say by Shachris the same thing. So let's say pay Moshe. Abish Chama Nisuna B'Emtzarekia. Klomar B'Emtza Ovi Harakia. It's still in the middle of the thickness of the sky. Now, the way the Pnei Moshe is learning it, and the Pashtus in the Yerushalmi, is that the Yerushalmi holds like the opinion in the Gemara Pesachim, the Tzadi Dalet, and the Bavli, that at night the sun goes up and back around a dome. It comes back around the other side and comes back inside the dome, and that's how the sun goes. And it doesn't go in a circle around the earth like the Chachmei Uma say, but it goes to the bottom of the dome, out, comes back around to the other side, and rises again in the morning. So since that's the case, it says Pnei Moshe, Emsar means in the middle of the thickness of the dome. In other words, the dome has a specific thickness to it. What the thickness is depends on Gemara Pesachim. And it hasn't yet set. You consider it night. You can Omar Ap Shachris can say also Shachris Shabi Shkvar has Chiskil Chamo. It says even though the sun has started rising or coming out from behind the dome, since it's still in the thickness of the dome, it's still night. Neither also Kalila. As long as it's in the thickness of the dome, let's consider it like night. But we hold from dawn, which means, according to this understanding, from the moment the sun comes around the dome and its first light shows, even though it's still not coming up inside the dome, it's right. It's going to be daytime. Why not? If it's symmetrical, it should be that's nighttime as well. If the thickness of the dome is nighttime, so then the dome should be nighttime both in the morning, both in the evening and in the morning. Now, you don't have to understand that there's a dome in order to have this issue, because the Yerushalmi is clearly learning that the sun is, and it's lav dafka that this Ovi Emtzarakia means here in the middle of the dome, but it means there is still sunlight. In other words, even though even though there's still ambient sunlight in the west, it's still considered to be night because there are 3 stars overhead. So if that's the case, we should also in the morning say that, and we don't. In the morning we say from Alos Shachar, it's going to be day. So the time which at the end of the day would be considered the night, notwithstanding the ambient light, in the morning, because of the ambient light, which is after Alos Shachar, it's going to be day. How do we reconcile the 2 halves of the day? How do they work together? So I'm Rabbi Abba. Rabbi Abba said we have kind of like a Gzeres HaKosim. Um, the He says Shemesh Yotza Ala Oretz V'Lot Ba Tza'ara. It says the sun came out on the land, and Lot, when he was fleeing from Sodom, came to Tzor. Uksiv, and it says Uba Hashemesh V'Toher. And it says that when the sun sets, then whoever was Tameh becomes Toher. So we have a Hekesh. Makish Yitziyaso Libiyaso. We draw a parallel between when it goes out and when it comes in. Well, coming in here means at nighttime, right? Vah Shemesh means it comes in, down, inside. Yotza is in the morning, right? Mabi also, she's kasem in habrios, just like when it's considered to be nightfall when the sun is covered from people's vision. Avtzi also, so too when it comes out in the morning, she's vodat labrios. It's when it becomes known to people, when people can recognize it. Now, the way I just explained it more is the way the Mashbiach explains it. He says the Rabbi Abba is an answer. He says everything has to do with the sun, and uh, uh, says the Bar Shem Tahar Yoima, when it's covered from front, when people no longer see it, and even though it's in the thickness still of the sky, so too when it comes out, it's when it becomes known to people, and then it is considered to be daytime. So it's the in between. It is actually symmetrical, right? Because the once it leaves once it goes beneath, well, it's not symmetrical, but it can be understood that way. In other words, when it leaves, when it's considered to be night when it's covered from people, right? When it was covered from people, and by definition, that's when, at the same time, says Chovim, that's considered the sun has already been removed from people's vision, and that's Uva Shemesh, gone back in. But in the morning, it says V'yotz Hashemesh, means the moment that the sun can be discerned by people. It's already considered to be Yotza, and that's considered to be the time when it starts actually to be daytime. But that's not the way the Pnei Moshe learns it. Pnei Moshe learns it that it's actually part of the question. And let's see the Pnei Moshe side. He's asking actually a question. It's a little bit difficult because it doesn't sound like that from the Lashon of the Gemara. But he says, he says it's Kmein Kush Dvarchinahem Ksiv Hashemesh Yatsa. Says the sun went out. Ksiv Uba Hashemesh says the sun went in. The name of the Makish is Yasa also. Let's say that there's a correlation between it's coming out and it's going in. The Mabi Yasim Shis Kasim in Abrios Ata Mechash V'Laila. So just when it comes in, when it's covered from people, it's considered nighttime. Af al pi shadayin Hashem shesok over Yerakia, even though the sun is still in the thickness of the dome. Af shitziaso, so when it comes out, she's vada brios dafka. It's when it becomes known to the brios, and according to the Pnei Moshe, means when they can actually see the sun itself. Avo kozman shubatok over Yerakia lo mikra Hashem shesok haaretz. But as long as it's inside the thickness of the dome, it's not called that the sun comes out. It has come out on land. So why we consider the day to start from Alos Shachar. So according to the Pnei Moshe, Rabbi Abba is a different version of the question, and the answer only begins with the next answer, which Gemara gives. Rabbi Ba, Steve Haboker or. It says the morning is light. HaTorah Kora or Boker. The moment you have light, it's called morning. So therefore, at night, you don't need. It doesn't say hachoshech. There's no passage that says halayla choshech, which would mean that you have to have absolute darkness. But there's a pasuk aboker or, which means the moment you have some light, that's already considered to be daytime. That's why by losa shachar, it's already considered to be daytime, even though you don't have to wait till absolute full darkness in order for it to be considered night, in order for it to be considered Shabbos over, and so on and so forth. Tani Rabbi Shmuel Baboker Baboker Tetain Tchum Blebokro Shaboker. So word Tchum is interesting usage here, but the point is that there is additional Boker in the Boker. he's explaining why Amun Shachar starts earlier, and it starts already. Alos Shachar starts earlier. It starts already from when the sun turns the edge of the dome, when it's first discernible, because it says baboker baboker. So it means that there's an additional boker besides the boker, which would be sunrise. There's a boker before that, which is Alos Shachar. So therefore, we have this special, again, like Zeus HaKosav, teaches that the morning is different than the evening. Uh, Rabbi Yosef Rabun. Yosef Rabun has his own answer. Im oimer retain ovio shorakia l'layla. If you're going to make the thickness of the dome tonight, bein ba'arvis, bein b'shachris, both in the morning, both in the uh, in the evening, bein b'shachris in the morning, and say so much ein hayom v'layla shavin. So it comes out that day and night are never equal. Because you're always going to have you're never going to have equal, because it's never going to be 12 and 12. Night is always going to be longer than day, because both thicknesses, which is the amount of time between Alos HaShachar and Netza Chama, and the amount of time between Shkia and Seisa Kochavim, you're going to make that night. So night is always going to be longer than day. The time we learn Be'echad B'Tkufas Nisan, Ve'B'Tkufas Tishrei, on the equinox days, and that's specific. The first day of Tkufas Nisan means the first day of spring, the spring equinox, and the first Echad Tkufas Tishrei is the first day of fall equinox. Hayom Laila Shavin. The day and night are equal. So that has to be that you're going to give one of these to periods to of twilight to the day and one to the night. Otherwise, it won't work out. Rav Huna gives yet another explanation of why disparity, and it says, Rav Huna, nifnei miderech nifna miderech eretz. Let's learn out from derech eretz. In other words, how we find things in this world. When a king comes, Shari Malcolm Nafak, when the king begins to come out from his palace, Afagavlu Nafak, even though he hasn't yet come out, Amina de Nafak, we say he is coming out. Shari earlier, when he goes in, Lomi the Al at Shaited Yehu. When he goes in, we don't say he's fully in, that he's in until he's fully in. So therefore, the same thing is true about the sun. The sun, when it comes out, it's like the king coming out, and when the moment it starts coming out, they say, "Oh, the king is here." Whereas when it's going back in, then we say it's not. It ain't over till it's over, and it's the king. It says that the king is still about until the last traces have disappeared in the horizon. Well, not literally last traces, but until it's sufficiently dark that we could say that he's gone.